If you had a time machine sitting right next to you right now, and you could punch in the coordinates to go back and, change just one mistake from your past, what would you change?
Oh, man. That is a heavy question to start off with.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, I mean, welcome to today's deep dive.
hmm
We are getting into some deeply human territory today.
We really are.
Because usually when we talk about fixing mistakes, there's this expectation of practicality. Like you break a vase, you get the glue, you take a wrong turn, you let the GPS reroute you.
Right. It's a very binary way of thinking. A problem arises and a tangible solution is applied. It's clean.
Exactly.
And it's comforting, honestly, because it gives us a sense of agency over our environment.
But then you step into the world of human emotion, and suddenly that clean logic just completely falls apart.
Yeah.
We're looking at an emotional landscape that is incredibly murky.
Oh, absolutely.
And there is no emotion quite as universally paralyzing or, as difficult to untangle as regret.
Yeah, regret is a tough one.
So, okay, let's unpack this. We were looking into a fascinating transcript recently titled Time Travel, Ki Zaroorat Nahi.
Which translates to no need for time travel.
Right. And it promises to extract these 5 life-saving lessons from the painful regrets of everyday people. And the setup for this source actually featured that exact time machine question.
I remember that.
Yeah. And the answer they gave really struck me. They didn't talk about, like, a lost fortune or some huge tragic accident. They talked about being young, being lazy in school, and just profoundly disappointing a teacher who really believed in them.
Yeah, that really hits home.
They said they still remember the look of letdown in that teacher's eyes, and they constantly wonder, where would I be today if I had just tried?
Which is such a piercingly common human experience. But what's fascinating here is how we naturally conceptualize regret. We almost always treat it like a ghost.
A ghost.
Yeah, like it's this phantom that haunts us, popping up at 2 a.m. to remind us of our failures. It feels like an external entity that's just torturing us.
I mean, it definitely feels like torture sometimes.
Right. But if we actually look at the cognitive function of it, regret isn't a ghost at all. It's a mirror.
Okay, a mirror. How so?
Well, because we don't have time machines, we are forced to just sit with these deeply uncomfortable feelings. And if we look at them properly, instead of, running away, regret reflects our deepest foundational values back at us.
Oh, I see.
It shows us what we actually care about, usually by highlighting exactly what we just neglected. The brain is basically running a simulation of an alternate reality to scream at you like, look at what matters to you.
I really like that framing. A mirror, not a ghost.
Yeah.
Because it forces accountability, but it also offers a tool.
Exactly. Since we can't travel back in time, we have to use that simulation as an aggressive teacher for our future behavior.
So when you look closely into that mirror, you start to see patterns. And today's deep dive is anchored by 5 deeply emotional stories of ordinary people.
Right, the 5 lessons.
Yeah. And the most glaring pattern that traps so many of us fall into is this chronic misallocation of our energy. Think about a man named Raj.
Raj's story. This one is tough.
It is. Raj is this quintessential, highly successful businessman. He is pulling these 16-hour days, basically building an empire. He's got the corner office, the massive house, the luxury cars.
The whole package.
Right. But he also has a 7-year-old daughter named Priya. And every single day, little Priya asks him, Papa, can we play? And his default answer day after day is always, I'm busy, maybe tomorrow.
And, from a behavioral economic standpoint, tomorrow is the most dangerous word you can possibly use in a relationship.
It really is, because it's completely empty. Years just evaporate. Raj keeps expanding his business, but he never actually finds that elusive free time.
Because it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Suddenly, Priya's 18, she's leaving for college, and Raj comes home to an empty house. He wanders into her childhood room, and he finds this little crayon drawing on her desk.
Oh, man.
It's a picture of the two of them holding hands, and underneath it, she'd written, I miss my papa. And Raj just completely shatters in that moment.
Of course he does. The finality of it just hits the nervous system all at once.
Because he realizes he didn't just miss a few games of catch. He entirely missed her childhood. They still talk today, but that magical bond of her youth is just gone forever.
And the tragedy here isn't that Raj was malicious, right? It's that he was operating under a massive cognitive illusion about how time actually works.
Why do we do that? Why do we treat time like it's a renewable resource? It's literally a ticking countdown.
We treat our bank accounts like they are finite and our calendars like they are infinite, which is the exact inverse of reality.
Raj thought he was building a life, but he's actually just missing it.
Money and professional status, those are renewable resources. You can lose a fortune and build it back. But time is strictly, brutally non-renewable.
So what does this all mean for us?
It means the illusion of later relies on our brain's tendency toward hyperbolic discounting. We devalue the immediate joy of playing with a child because the long-term abstract goal of financial security feels more urgent for survival.
Wow. So Raj traded a non-renewable resource, his daughter's childhood, for a highly renewable one, which is capital.
Exactly. Don't wait for tomorrow for the people you love.
Because tomorrow is completely hypothetical. But, realizing you've squandered time is really only the first layer of the nightmare.
What's the second layer?
Second layer is the crushing, suffocating weight of guilt that follows when that lost time literally costs someone their life.
Oh, right. We're talking about Mira.
Yeah. Mira was this incredibly bright medical student. Her mother had a known serious heart condition, and Mira actually recognized the warning signs her mother was exhibiting.
Because she had the medical training.
Exactly. But she was in the middle of finals week. She was completely overwhelmed. So she told her mother, "I will take you to the hospital next week, right after my exams are done."
There's that cognitive trap again, deferring the present for a hypothetical future.
But her mother's heart didn't have a week. She suffered a massive heart attack, and despite Mira desperately performing CPR on her own mother, she passed away right there in Mira's arms.
That is just unimaginable trauma.
The psychological fallout was massive. The guilt completely crushed Mira. She was ready to drop out of medicine entirely. Every single patient she looked at just felt like a glaring reminder of her own negligence.
Which, biologically speaking, is a perfectly natural psychological response. Guilt, in this extreme form, often becomes a subconscious way of maintaining a connection to the person we lost.
Even if it's toxic.
Yes. The brain actually prefers the pain of guilt over the void of absence.
Okay, but let's be intellectually honest here for a second. How do you just drop a burden of guilt that feels completely justified?
What do you mean?
Well, she is a medical student. She did know the signs. She actively chose to delay the care. Guilt isn't just a vague feeling here. It's a highly accurate assessment of a failure.
That is a very fair point.
Isn't some level of psychological punishment completely warranted?
That is the exact trap Mira was caught in, the justification of the punishment. But you don't just drop it, because as you said, the facts are immutable. She did delay.
Right, so what changes?
What has to change isn't the reality of the event, but the perspective on the utility of the punishment. In Mira's case, the turning point came from an old professor who sat her down and asked a brilliantly piercing question.
What did he say?
He said, "Your mother loved you. She never blamed you for her condition. Are you smarter than your mother?"
Oh, wow. That is a heavy question.
It's brilliant, right? It bypasses her defensive guilt and appeals directly to her logic. The mother, in her infinite love, had likely already forgiven her.
So about holding on to the guilt.
By holding on to it, Mira was essentially telling her deceased mother, "You are wrong to forgive me. My judgment is superior to your love."
It completely shifts it from an act of penance to an act of arrogance.
Precisely. Regret is meant to be a lesson, not a life sentence. If the person you hurt has forgiven you, holding on to guilt is just self-destruction. Once Mira processed that, she actually forgave herself and became a great doctor to honor her mother.
She used the pain as fuel. But here's the thing. Mira's regret comes from a wrong choice she actively made. What I find even more terrifying are the choices we completely opt out of.
The regret of inaction.
Exactly. Because some of our biggest regrets come from what we didn't do. Let's talk about Arjun.
Ah, the friend zone story.
The ultimate friend zone story. Arjun is in his 20s, secretly, deeply in love with his best friend, Anjali. They do everything together, but Arjun is paralyzed by the fear of rejection.
So he stays entirely silent.
He's waiting for that cinematic, perfect moment to confess his feelings. But of course, the universe never casually provides that perfect moment.
It never does. Life just happens instead.
Right. Anjali moves away, meets someone else, and gets married. Arjun literally sits in the pew at her wedding, plastering on a smile while his internal world just collapses.
That is brutal.
But the twist is, years later, he's helping her family clear out some boxes and finds her old teenage diary. And right there on the page, she had documented that she was entirely in love with him too. She was just waiting for him to make the first move. He lost her purely due to his own inaction.
And here's where it gets really interesting from a psychological perspective. Because in the moment you're making the choice to stay quiet, Inaction feels incredibly safe.
It feels like armor, right? If you don't ask, you can't be told no.
Exactly. But it's not armor at all. It's actually a slow-acting poison. It's like a rogue software program running in the background of your brain, quietly draining your cognitive battery for decades.
Why does it drain the battery so much?
Because it deprives your brain of data. There's this thing in psychology called the Zeigarnik effect. It states that people remember uncompleted tasks way better than completed ones. Our brains hate open loops.
So a regret of action gives you closure.
Yes. If you confess your love and get rejected, reality gives you an undeniable answer. It hurts, but the brain can process that data, adapt, and close the loop.
You hit a wall, but at least you know where the wall is.
But when you do nothing, you have zero data. So your brain just spins forever in a simulation loop of what if. Arjun learned this the hard way, but he actually applied the lesson.
Right, because today he tells his current wife he loves her every single day. He refuses to leave any emotional loops open.
He took the agonizing data of his past inaction and used it for his present life.
Okay, but let's be honest again here. What happens when taking action blows up in your face? Closing the loop doesn't feel very comforting when the reality you're left with is just massive failure.
Yes. When you put in the grueling work, take the massive risk, and reality still hands you a resounding no.
Enter Mr. Sharma. He is a retired school teacher living alone, and every single morning he wakes up and says out loud, "Thank you, God, for one more day."
Which sounds very peaceful.
It does, until you realize for decades he was eaten alive by bitterness. When he was young, his singular burning ambition was to be a big-shot government officer.
He was fiercely ambitious.
Worked tirelessly, studied for years, but he failed the exams. He took a job as a humble school teacher just to pay the bills and spent the next 10 years absolutely furious with himself.
Because he was defining his entire existence by the one door that closed.
Exactly. But his perspective radically shifted when a former student of his, who is now a highly successful doctor, tracked him down. The doctor looked Mr. Sharma in the eye and said, "You are the reason I am a doctor today. You believed in me when no one else did."
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is a profound cognitive reframe.
It's like looking at a painting with your nose physically touching the canvas. All you see is this messy brushstroke of failure. But when that student visited, it forcibly pushed Sharma a few feet back.
And he finally saw the masterpiece.
Right.
Regret creates intense cognitive tunnel vision. Sharma realized his real success was the lives he touched. If he had become that wealthy officer, he never would have helped those vulnerable children.
So regrets can actually be blessings in disguise.
Only if you focus on what you have become rather than what you didn't become. It's about finding gratitude in our failures.
Which is such a powerful lesson. But there's a catch. All these lessons, prioritizing time, forgiving yourself, taking action, being grateful, they culminate in one ultimate realization.
And what's that?
The only place you can practice any of them is right now, in the present. Which brings us to our final story, Vikram.
Oh, Vikram is the absolute poster child for modern hustle culture.
He really is. He's obsessed with grinding for the future. More money, better car, bigger house. And while he's chasing this, he constantly ignores his 5-year-old son's requests to play.
His excuse is always, "I'm working for your future."
Which sounds noble, but the wake-up call hits hard. He comes home to find his son in tears, violently tearing up a drawing he made for Vikram. His son cries and says, "You're never here anyway."
Ouch, that anticipatory anxiety loop just shattered.
Vikram realizes he's working for a future that might never arrive. He's sacrificing today's joy for tomorrow's hypothetical success. So, listener, how often are you guilty of that?
We all are.
But Vikram actually changes. He starts leaving work on time, being present, and shockingly, he gets a promotion at work. By stepping away from the grind, he becomes better at his job. How does that make sense?
It's all about how the brain processes stress. Vikram thought success causes happiness. You suffer, achieve the goal, then you get to be happy.
But that's backward.
Entirely backwards. Neuroscience consistently shows that happiness and presence fuel success. When he was obsessed with the future, his brain was bathed in cortisol. He was in survival mode.
Which kills creativity, right?
Exactly. It limits your prefrontal cortex. When he became present with his family, he regulated his nervous system. That unlocked the cognitive bandwidth to be vastly more effective at work. The past is gone. The future isn't here. This minute is all we have.
So we've unpacked some heavy stuff today. Let's do a quick recap. We've got Raj reminding us to know what truly matters because time is non-renewable. Mira teaching us to forgive ourselves. Arjun proving we need to take action to avoid open loops. Mr. Sharma showing us how to find gratitude in our failures, and Vikram proving we have to live in the present.
It's a powerful synthesis.
And the reality check is that everyone, even the most successful person on earth, has regrets. The choice is whether you let them destroy you or teach you.
Absolutely.
So don't run from your regret. Sit with it. Hug your parents. Tell your friends you love them. Take that risk.
And before we go, think about this. If regret is just our brain's way of violently highlighting our core values, then our deepest regrets are actually a map to our truest self.
Oh, I love that.
What if you took a piece of paper right now and wrote down your biggest regret? Not as a confession of a past mistake, but as a compass pointing exactly to what you need to do tomorrow.
A compass. That is incredible. Well, as we established, time travel isn't real. But making today count is truly the only magic we need. Thanks for diving